I wanted to make a video to review one of the most important tools for drafting, which is the architectural ruler. You'll get one just like this in your drawing kits, and at first glance it will be a little bit confusing. You can see that the ruler has 3 different sides, and then each side has 2 different sets. And then if you look a little bit closer, you'll even see that there's one scale going in one direction here, and then there's another scale going in another direction here. So all told, I believe this has 11 different scales because we have one standard ruler on this side here. So this ruler, as the name implies, is typically used by architects to draft blueprints of buildings. And because of that, the scales are quite large. So this number here, 3/4, 3, 1 inch, 1/4, 16, 3/16. These are all different scales that are meant to be translated to feet. So 3/4 of an inch equals 1 foot in this scale. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. And then on the other side, it's usually that particular scale halved. So here we have 3/8 of an inch. And you'll see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that way they can fit as many scales as possible on this ruler. Because it's not really that practical, because we're drawing at a furniture scale and not a building scale, we're not going to keep this 3/4 equals 1 foot ratio. We're going to kind of bastardize it and say 3/4 of an inch equals 1 inch. So you can see 1, 2, 3. Normally on an architectural scale this would be 3 feet, but in our case we're going to be using this as 3 inches. And then you'll also notice that this ruler doesn't start at 0. The 0 is actually set in this case at 3/4 of an inch. And for an architectural scale, this is meant to break up a single foot into inches. But because we're saying that this is going to be our inch, this will be our fractions of an inch here. So it won't translate as cleanly as it should just because it's meant to be a foot, which is divisible by 12, instead of an inch, which is divisible by 16. But we can make it work for the most part. Just like a regular ruler, the longer line segments indicate larger fractions. So right here is going to be your 1/2 inch. Right here is going to be your 1/4 of an inch. And here is going to be 3/4 of an inch. And then after that, it tends to not break as easily because, again, this is meant to be a foot divided into inches rather than an inch divided into fractions of an inch. But I can basically cite the center here and say this is 7/8, this is 5/8, this is 3/8, this is 1/8. With 16, you're going to have to do more guesswork because there's not a specific dash mark for 1/16 of an inch. But you should be able to make it work just for your scale drawings. So if I'm making a drawing, it's going to be a little bit counterintuitive because I'm going to start with the fraction of an inch first. So if I put my ruler down and I make a mark here, and let's say that I wanted 3.5 inches, I'm going to put my ruler at the 1/2 inch mark there, and then I'm going to mark at 3. Or let's say I wanted to do 6.25 inch. I'm going to put my ruler at that 1/4 inch mark there, and then I'm going to mark at 6 inches. And using this ruler, it can be a bit confusing just because there are so many sides to it to remember which side that you're using. One way that I like to make things a little faster for myself is I'll just take a little piece of blue tape and I'll just put that blue tape on the side right there to remind myself which side that I'm using.